Hi guys, my name is Yubo, and over the years I've done a lot of cooking, especially during SIP, and I've picked up a couple of tips and tricks I'd like to show you guys. Now, the first thing I suggest you guys try have to do with knife usage and storage, and the first one is, it's called a blade grip. So a blade grip is how you hold a knife, and it's the grip that most chefs learn in culinary school. So how it works is you take your thumb and your index finger, you grip the blade of your knife, and with your other three fingers you grip the handle. And then that just gives you a little more control over the blade than a standard handle grip. And then the other suggestion is that you do with your other hand, you do something called a claw. And how that works is you curl your fingers inward so you can press them against the blade of your knife. And this way you can do a lot of fast, efficient cutting without worrying about cutting yourself. Kind of like this. So that's that. The other tips just have to do with knife storage, and what I suggest with knife storage is just that you keep your knife away from anything hard. And this is because when the knife edge comes into contact with hard objects, it gets more dull. So I suggest, like when you're done using your knife, just wash it, dry it, and put it away immediately, so you can keep it away from all the plates, utensils, and pots and pans that are in the sink and on the dish rack. And then when you put it away, I suggest putting it away in some kind of knife block or a knife guard, kind of like this one. That way you protect the edge and you can keep it sharp for as long as possible. Alright, lastly, I'm just going to rattle off some random kitchen trivia that I learned that's kind of useful. One, canned tomatoes are better than fresh tomatoes 10 months out of the year. This is because canned tomatoes are picked when they're ripe and they're canned like that, whereas fresh tomatoes are picked when they're green, because otherwise they get damaged in shipping and then they're gassed with ethylene. Now this is totally natural. Ethylene is naturally occurring in tomatoes, and that's how they normally ripen. But when they get ripened like that, they just don't taste very good. Next, bread should not be refrigerated. It actually keeps longer and stales more slowly if it's left outside. So if you want bread to last a long time, you should either leave it out or freeze it. Eggs in America are safe to eat raw. This is because the bacteria that cause problems are on the outside of the egg, and the eggs in America are washed before they're sold. Pork is safe to eat medium rare, and leaner cuts of pork actually taste better that way. Cast iron pans can and should be washed with soap and water. This is because that layer of oil that's on the pan, that's actually chemically bonded to the pan. So unless you use something really abrasive like steel wool or barkeeper's friend, that's not going to come off. Steak, burgers, and other meat things, you actually should flip them multiple times. You don't have to only flip them once, and if you flip them multiple times, they actually cook more evenly. And then the last two kind of more just personal tips are, I like to keep my pantry stocked with a lot of like useful dried, canned, and frozen foods. That way if I need to cook on a short notice, I don't have to go grocery shopping. So I like to keep things like canned tomatoes, wakama, tuna and anchovies, and a lot of stuff like that. And then I have several recipes that I can use with just these kinds of prepared pantry staples. And the last thing is, if you guys bake a lot, I highly recommend getting a kitchen scale. Now it's like 10 or 20 bucks, and this is partly because it makes measuring ingredients more accurate, but it's more because if you have a kitchen scale, you can get rid of all your measuring cups. And what that means is that after you're done baking, all you have to wash is whatever bowl you mixed everything in, whatever you used to mix the ingredients, and then just whatever sheet or tray you baked everything on. It seriously like halves your baking time, and I totally recommend it. Plus, if you look for recipes that are done by weight instead of by volume, they're usually better recipes. So anyway, that's all the tips that I have for you guys today. I hope you found them helpful, and I hope you guys have a fun time cooking.